In today's video, we're going to show you our latest feature in Seriously Simple Podcasting, and that's the support for the Elementor page builder in the form of 2 unique templates that you can import into your WordPress site. If you want to make a subscribe page for your podcast, I'm going to show you how to do that today. Home base on your website for your podcast, I'm going to show you how to do that today too. It's a pretty long video. Use the chapter markers below to skip around to the important sections that are useful to you. Thumbs up if you like the video, subscribe if you want more. Let us know what you think about Seriously Simple Podcasting and building podcast sites. Okay, great, so let's take a look at the 2 plugins that we're going to need in order to achieve today's little lesson on using Elementor and Seriously Simple Podcasting. And those are the plugins. We need Seriously Simple Podcasting, of course, your favorite podcast plugin for WordPress. And in today's example, all you need is the free version of Elementor. Now, we're going to talk about some of the benefits in this part of the video, and you can always skip ahead if you want to see some of these things in action. So let's just talk about the 2 templates we have created before we install them and some of the benefits you'll receive from that. So when you have a podcast inside of your Seriously Simple Podcasting plugin, I have a sample. They don't all have featured images, so just disregard that. You might have featured images for all of them. When you want to look at all of these podcasts on the front end of your website, it uses something called a WordPress custom post type. And they're slightly different than just your regular post and your regular page. They act the same way. They're just sort of reserved for podcasts. And I already added this to my navigation. We're going to hit yes. Of course we do. We want to see this in action. So let's just move the tray out of the way. And you can quickly see that we have now built at least the framework of a great subscribe page in a couple of clicks, right? We imported the template, and basically what this did was lay out a good fundamental hero section, right? That's this entire section right here. It's the #1 way to stay connected to show. We'll call this the audience podcast. Let me get this tray out again. Click into it. Audience podcast, right? That's the name of course, Castos's podcast. And then a little subheader. So you might say something like, join Matt and Craig as they explore the exciting world of podcasting. It's the best podcast for right? As we like to say. So basically what we're doing here is with the subscribe page is we're saying, look, regular looking page on your WordPress site, we want to give it a little emphasis. We want to give it a little oomph, right? You also might say something like, leave us a review on iTunes over, 500 5-star reviews. We want to be able to give the viewer just something more, right? They cannot miss this. They cannot miss the subscribe buttons, and that's really the point. When we talk about accounts going up, are we getting more downloads? Can people find our show? Verbal call to actions I'm a huge fan of in podcasts. And if you're not selling advertising yet, you're not selling a book or a service or a product, and there is no other call to action other than please listen to the show, I always like to point people to the /subscribe page, right? So castos.com/subscribe. That's the best place to get connected to the show. And we're kind of taking that ability and handing it off to you if you're using something like an Elementor. And it's going to pull in automatically the Spotify, Google Podcast, Stitcher, and Apple, which are pulled from the settings of your Seriously Simple Podcasting plugin, right? These are all the places where one would go to subscribe to these pages. And, if you had multiple podcasts, you could select. Obviously, there's just one podcast in my sample site. But Seriously Simple Podcasting allows you to create a podcast network. You can have many podcasts, individual podcasts in your website. You'd be able to select, which one you'd want to connect to in this case, right? So that's the thought process around it. Strong call to action, supportive subtext below it, and then maybe another, you could use this, you could repurpose this area for many things. You could actually pull a quote from, a testimonial from your listeners. You could pull a quote from your iTunes reviews. It's really just saying, look, here's the structure. fill in the content, make it look pretty good. Now, or read pretty good, I should say. Now with Elementor, again, if this is the first time you're seeing this, okay, now we're going to talk about the podcast page. This is the home base that you might direct your listeners and your viewers to see all things about your podcast, get a lot more information about your podcast, not just subscribe. Subscribe is much more of a call to action. You're using that really strategically in your podcast and your YouTube videos or wherever. And it's meant to level up this experience. Remember, I showed you this at the top of the video. This is the typical blog roll. Look, here's all my podcasts, but we want to make this a whole heck of a lot better. We want to give more value there. So we're on our podcast page in Elementor. We're going to add our landing page template, our podcast landing page template here. We're going to insert. Yes, we want to do it. And all of the same rules apply. We've built this structurally to give you lines in the road. You can mix and match these elements. You can customize it. You can add, remove the things that you want and don't want. We're just saying, like, look, from a design perspective, one click, we just gave you this entire framework for an amazing podcast page. So we have the most recent episode playing right here. You have the updated Castos player. We have our three most recent episodes right here. And then you can go to the all episodes page after that. And then we have more information about the show. You might have a logo, the cover art, a picture of yourself, or meet the hosts, where if you're doing a co-hosted show of you and somebody else, we're just giving you those lines in the road to say, hey, okay, I can put my avatar here. I can link up each host's social media networks if that's a thing that they want to do. If you want to stay connected, join the newsletter. This is a great place for a newsletter subscription box. Elementor has their own form subscription box, their own email pop-up subscription box. You can bring your own widget into this space as well. And then the very similar we're just repeating what we did on the subscribe page, which is, hey, all the new episodes come out at this time, follow us, be our guest, join the show, subscribe now. So we're sort of repeating those elements in order to get people really hooked into this show, right? We want to make sure that we're giving them as much information as we possibly can on the home base of your podcast, right? So we might change that background overlay to something a little bit closer to this with, let's just change the typography style, fun stuff. And again, it's just really easy. One click, we built out an entire podcast landing page and a subscribe page with just a few clicks of a button. And you can only get this stuff in the Seriously Simple Podcasting plugin. One more time, we'll take a look at it. Exit to the dashboard, leave. Go back into podcasts, extensions, import the templates for Elementor. Again, this is going to work with the free version of Elementor. You don't need any of their other add-ons or another add-on. If you're already using Seriously Simple Podcasting and you're building a new site using Elementor, or you're upgrading your site using Elementor, it's a great fit. We love your comments and questions in the comments below. Thumbs up if you like the video. Subscribe if you want more. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.